And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. I hope you all like my new microphone. For the following 6 months, this one should work. So anyways, let's get started with the video. So today we'll be talking, or will more be like continuing from the previous video. And then we can just, show more basic commands. So last video we talked about the really basic ones like ls, rm, rmdir, mkdir, and just all of that. Now, one thing I don't think I mentioned in a previous video is rmdir only removes directories, empty ones. So if there's things in it, it's not going to remove it. If you want to remove everything inside of a directory, including the directory itself, then rm-r would be better than rmdir. But yeah, that's just optional. So anyways, let's start. So this command is probably one of the most important commands. I don't know if I talked about it in a previous video, but this is the most important command that I can think of that a lot of people should actually use, especially if they're beginners. And it's called man. It stands for manual. And let's say you have something that you don't quite know what it does. For example, ls. If you say man ls, then it's going to tell you ls stands for list directory contents. This is how ls works. It's the ls, the options, and then afterwards file. Here what all of it does, -a, do not ignore entry starting with this, so do not ignore hidden files. And here maybe like capital A, do not list just the dot and dot dot. So if we go here and we say ls-a, you can see here is dot and dot dot. If we go ls-capital A, then it's no longer there. You can also go man if you want to know more about man itself, an interface for reference manuals and things like that. A lot of things you can do here. There's also something called cheat sheet. It is cht.sh. You have to install it, but once you install it, it's basically like man, but it is just so much better in terms of beginner friendliness, because man is the kind of like, it gives you a documentation. Really kind of confusing sometimes, especially if you're a beginner, and it can be a little bit because you're first getting into Linux. Now you have to work with documentation and stuff like that. Not always the best thing, or not always the most fun thing to do. Or maybe you want to go man rm, and you can read up about remove files and directories, and even man sudo, which stands for super user do. And yeah, that's man. Optional, and yeah. So next up we have locate. Now locate is pretty useful for a lot of reasons. It allows you to find things. For example, right now I use bash. This terminal, it's bash. You might have zsh or whatnot, but you can say locate bash. And this will pinpoint all of the locations on the computer, as far as I know, where the word bash comes into play. Like here's bash, and all of these has bash somewhere inside of them. So if we go to the top, then here, bash, rbash, bash rc, we can go into bash rc later maybe. But yeah, all of these are things that contain bash. So if I go and I search anime, that is going to find all of the places where anime can be found. So yeah, the locate is just to find the file. I wouldn't recommend it to find specific files. If you know it's in a specific directory, we'll get you into how to search for that later, but just know that this exists. Okay, then sudo is super user do. It gives you admin privileges. So if you go, let's say we go to /etc, and we just go here. What's everything here? Ooh, there's a lot of things in here. Let's touch, which creates a file, and let's say we want to create a file called trash file. This is going to tell you permission denied, because this is only allowed to be touched by the administrator, the super user. So if you go sudo touch trash file, it's going to ask you for a password. If you enter your password, then it's going to create it. So if we ls grep -i, I'll get into this later on. This is a bit more complicated to understand, so I'll get into that later. We say trash. Right here, trash file exists. Same goes if you say rm and want to remove trash file. It's going to say, hey, want to remove write protected regular empty file. Then it's write protected, so you can't really do much. So I think if we're going to do this, yeah, it's still going to be there. So if you want to remove it, you will also have to go sudo rm. Now just be careful when you remove anything from /etc or /etc or / whatever you want to call it. Anything in here, if you remove it, then your system could possibly break. So don't actually mess around with this file right here. We're getting into files later on, but don't really mess around here because it's kind of scary if you do. Then let's say you want to be admin, so you don't constantly have to insert your password, because it allows you to like insert a password for a short time, or you don't have to insert a password for a short time after you've inserted it once, but then later on it'll start asking you for it again. So you can go sudo -i, and this will automatically make you admin, and then you can like do your things here. You can press Ctrl D to exit, or just exit to exit. Okay, so that's sudo. You can use this to install applications, and you can use this to give you privileges for things you didn't have, and stuff like that. Be careful using sudo, especially if you're working directories you shouldn't. So I'm just going to go back to my home directory, which, this is what you should use if you want to find a specific file. Locate was used to find this file that's everywhere on the computer, but which is used to find a specific file. So if we go which bash, this is going to give you where bash is. Now this actually only works with applications. So if I want to like, or things you have installed. So let's say I want to find Alice because that's installed. So I can go which Alice. It's going to tell me it's in bin/Alice. Or I want VS Code, because if I say code, it's going to open up VS Code. So let's clear that. If I go which code, that is in user bin code. So yeah, this is used to find specific locations. So let's say you want to modify an application, or you need to remove an application, you can use which to do so, because then you can find it. Same with GIMP. Which GIMP, user bin GIMP. Then you have things like whatis, and this is like a little bit of a shorter description of the man page. It's very, very, very short. So let's say you say what is, and you say Alice. This is going to tell you, like if you go to man Alice, it's going to give you this right here. So it's not as great as the cheat sheet I told you about earlier, but it is pretty good. Because then if you just need to know what something does or what it's called or something like that, you can use what is. So what is, and we can go man. As you can see, there are two definitions. Each one of them has their own thing. Okay, and now we'll finally be getting into grep. Now, I actually want to keep this for later, but it is in the basic commands section of my tutorial. So grep is something that allows you to filter, to narrow down, to reduce the amount of things that get returned. So if I say Alice, what's everything here? Okay, there's a lot of things in here. Now if I say Alice, and this right here, that's called a pipe. We'll get into piping later. You don't really need to know what it does. You just need to know you have to use piping to use grep. So just think of piping as saying Alice, but through this. So it has to go through the filter called grep. Grep's filtering. And let's say you want to get star.mp4. Now it's going to filter mp4. Now it's going to filter everything and remove, or not remove, just display the things that are just mp4 files. So if we do this, there we go. Okay, I shouldn't use wildcards. Excuse me, that's my own stupidity. Anyways, so this will show you everything that has a .mp4 here. So it basically just filters down to the mp4s. Of course, you can use grep for other things as well. So let's quickly Alice here again. let's say we want to read apps.txt. So what is an apps.txt? We'll get into cat later. This is everything out of apps.txt. So let's say I want to, I want to read from it. So because cat allows you to kind of read from files, it reads the entire file, prints it out here. Let's say I want to filter the lines. So then I can go cat, and I can go grep, and if I say I want to grep, and then I'm going to put this in quotation marks just so I know if I want to add space or something like that. Let's say I want to grep everything that has an S in here. Oh, you know what? I didn't say what file it should read. That's yet again my stupidity. So if we go and we can just say apps.txt, there we go. There's going to return the line called Firefox. We'll get later and deeper into grep. I'm just showing the basics around grep because it is in the basic commands. Or if we can go X, everything that has X inside of it, dash dash. I guess you can't actually search for something like that because yeah, I can understand. R, if it has R inside of it, and then you have dash I, and this basically makes everything, it's capital sensitive. So if you're going to search for something such as here, this sudo right here, that is capital S. So if I'm going to go and I say, hey, search for, without this, search for sudo, then it's not going to find it. But if I go dash I, it is going to find it because then it's going to search for uppercase and lowercase. So yeah, I'll get deeper into grep later. I'm just giving you the basics right now because these are basic commands, basically just giving you the basics. Gee whiz. Anyways, then we have power off. If you want to turn off the system, I'm not going to do that because then I'm going to turn off my computer. But you can use this. And then you have init 0. This also turns off the computer. The same as saying power off, but it's more instant. And then you have shut down. This also turns off the computer, but now you can say when. Let's say 1. And if I'm correct, that will shut it down in 1 second. I never use this, but because I would rather go for init 0 and just shut it down immediately. And then you have init 6, and this reboots the computer. Now you do have init 2, 3, 4, and 5, but they're all unimportant because they're a bit more complicated. So init 0 and init 6, these two are the ones I would recommend you using if you want to reboot or stuff. You can also go here, same effect. You can also power off here and stuff. But init 6 and init 0, I kind of like it because that's power off, that's reboot. Very, very nice. Although I think these only exist in some systems. I think only ones that has system D. So you don't need to know what it is if you're using Linux Mint or any normal Debian-based Linux. Okay, now that we have turning off and rebooting out of the way, now we can use calendar. So let's say cal is going to display basic calendar of this month. Very simple. You can also go cal and let's say 2002, and you can look at a calendar for 2002. You can also go for cal and you can go 2021 and see if it's going to be any better. And then you can see February starts from Monday and it goes all the way perfectly aligned. If only it started at Monday here. Then you can go and you can specify more. So you can, let's say cal 8 2002, and this will display the 8th month in 2002. You can also go cal 8 2020. You see August here, or cal 12, this is this month, so it doesn't really matter too much. And you can see here. And then you can go something like cal -3. And this will show the previous month, this month, and the next month. So that's kind of useful. Then you have ncal. And this kind of just flips the calendar from going sideways to downwards. I prefer cal more than ncal, but you know. Then you have date. And this just returns the current date. So as you can see, it is, what do you call it? It's Christmas today. You will probably not see it. It's probably going to come out next week though, so you will not really know. You'll probably get it after Christmas, but Merry Christmas. and then you can go date -s, and then in quotation marks you can do something like 11/20/2003 at 12:48, and this will set the date. Do this if your date is not set correctly, or if you don't want to use the GUI, because if you're a non-exponent, you can literally just go here and say date and time and set it from there. Or you can do it from inside of the terminal, which, you know, if you like it, then yeah. Then you can go something such as, I'm not going to do that because I have my own data I want to stick to. Then you have plus, and let's say %d, %m, and then %y. And this will format the date. So if we press enter, then it's going to say 25 of the 12th of 2020. So yeah. And that's the end of basic commands. I would recommend you maybe go search up for a few more basic commands, but you know, you could just follow along the course if you want as well. Next video we'll talk about a bit more interesting things than just these basic commands that don't do much. And yeah, thank you for watching. See you all in the next video.